Friends, perhaps a good way to begin this YouTube today is with a Merry Christmas. I hope and pray that you do have a wonderful Christmas that is filled with joy, and as so many Christmas carols indicate, the fullness of God's promise. Promise of salvation, promise of peace on earth, and goodwill towards men. And may the joy of everything that's happening be yours today. This is your YouTube program, Following After God, walking the steps that are so important in order to have the fullness and the joys of life. I've been sharing a number of things of my own personal life with you, and I would like to today just make comment about some of the things that you might see here in my study. What I would like to do is to take the items from time to time and share them with you. Someone recently made comment about the dream catcher, a very special gift made by a very special person. And I'm so thankful for not only that wonderful gesture, but so many gestures that people have made for me. That leads me to the subject of the day, and it is following the way. Perhaps you've heard this expression upon many occasions. What is the way that we follow? We do know that ancients used to follow the stars. Navigation. I've taken courses in navigation. I was in the Navy. And while it wasn't my primary duty, I enjoyed very much the idea that we could, with a sextant, determine where we were and what direction we were going in. And I think also to today's modern world of how we use the GPS system. I am a sailor. I spend a lot of time on the ocean. And one of the things that I depend upon to get to my destination, but also back home, is my GPS. That guided system, which is just amazing, giving me my location and the direction that I'm going in. But we also know that there are other things that we can use that also give us direction and the way. This is the time for me to be involved in gardening. I am a gardener the year round, and I think of how the ancients used to depend upon the moon and the stars to determine when they would plant their crops. I don't always follow the Farmer's Almanac, though I certainly recommend that if you want something interesting to read, that you subscribe to the Farmer's Almanac. For the money, you can't beat it. It gives you more information than you could get in a lifetime. So we think about the way. What ways do we follow? Well, in today's world, there are many people who are beckoning us to follow them. I think of the politicians and how many people are caught in the mode and the model of a politician. And sometimes it almost seems to me that some people follow blindly. I don't want to get into the controversy as to who is the better politician, but I always advise people, be careful. Look carefully. What way is being given to us to follow? The people of Israel were on their journey, and that brings us again to the Bible and what this YouTube is all about. They were on their way to the promised land. The Bible describes them as having been slaves in Egypt. Moses, their leader, comes and delivers them, but they don't always know where they are going. So God gives them items that help them find their way. Pillar of cloud by day, pillar of fire by night. And of course, the leading of Moses as well. But then there are times when maybe it's not so clear as to where they should go. So there is one final act before they enter into the promised land, the land which we would describe as the kingdom of God. where they are to be free, where they will enjoy prosperity, where there will be peace. So many things that these people did not have. And I kind of liken it to our lives as well. I know that sometimes people debate what Christ is all about. Let me very clearly define for you today. Before the Christmas celebration of the advent of the coming of Christ, Christ came to show us the way. We live in a dark world. I'm very familiar with this world, having worked with the police department, being in the military, seeing the cruelty and the injustice, and also how so many people seem to be lost, not knowing where to go and how to find their way. So I want to read today a passage from the book of Joshua. It's a great book. I encourage you to read it. But let me just read from one of the chapters, and it's a passage of great interest. And it is found in the 3rd chapter of Joshua. Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Shittim and went to the Jordan. They're on the east side of the Jordan, by the way, which is in the country of Jordan today, where they camped before crossing over. After 3 days, the officers went throughout the camp, giving orders to the people. When you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests who are Levites carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow it. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 1,000 yards between you and the ark. Do not go near it. That final statement is an interesting one, but before we get there, I want to talk about the ark, which is representative of God. God's presence was in that ark. And we are told the people were to follow the ark. When the priests lifted it up and they crossed the Jordan, we are told that the people were to keep their eyes on the ark to make their way across the Jordan, because they had never been that way before. In a way, we're all kind of out there trying to find our way. Jesus knew that when he was on the earth, and he told the people, you are in darkness, but I am the way. Follow me, and you will know the truth. Friends, I don't know whom you follow and why you follow what you do follow, but I do know this. In my experience, and I'm only one human being, but I look across the entire panorama of humanity, and I find that the person of Jesus the Christ offers himself as the ark that we are to follow. When we follow him, we will know the truth. We can be honest. We can know that we are in the right place and that there is security. And even if I might use the word, though I do it carefully and cautiously, there's also prosperity, because you accept new disciplines, new ways of thinking, new ways to behave, and how to conduct a proper relationship. As we all know, we live in a very fragmented world, and people are lost. Many are lost. And I'm not just talking about lost in the sense of the religious idea, but socially, emotionally, mentally. There's confusion, bewilderment. Which way do we go? The Israelites had never been on the west side of the Jordan, but now they were told, in order to get to the promised land, you must keep your eyes on the ark and follow the leading of the ark. We're told to follow in Jesus Christ. And that's my emphasis today to all of you. Maybe you've never been that way before. Maybe you feel like, what am I going to find if I do that? And all I can say is out of my experience and the experience of millions of people down throughout the centuries, as they have followed that way, they have found the way of peace and joy and love and happiness, not without problems. We all have them and will always have them, but there is security. And I found that again today as I called on a person who has suffered unbelievable sickness, mastectomy, cancer, one thing after the other. But I was asked before I left the home, would you please have a word of prayer as we refocus our lives? Friends, I invite you to do that today. May God bless you in following the way. I invite you again next week to tune in to YouTube and walking in the steps that lead us to God and with God.